This movie begins by showing us King Simba, who tells all his friends that he is proud to see his family grow and exalt the cycle of life. It happens that she is pregnant, so Simba has to go with her to the ceremonial land of birth. Then we see Timon and Pumbaa. They arrived at the call of King, who asks them to please take care of his little daughter, a little lion named Kiara. Kiara tells her dad to please don't leave, because a storm is about to arrive soon. Likewise, Simba leaves and tells her that her uncles will take care of her. Then we see a story where the powerful Timon and Pumbaa are the ones who finish off Scar for one of the best meals. I had Kiara know that this is lying and she laughed. However, the storm started and the little lion was very afraid of this phenomenon. Also, her parents had gone. She felt very alone. Luckily, Rafiki arrived and the little lion told her that he should not be afraid. He also tells him that his father, King Simba, was also afraid of thunder when he was little, but he stopped fearing it when his grandfather, King Mufasa, took him to the highest point of the King's Rock and forced him to roar bravely, thus putting an end to Simba's fears. When he heard that, he thought he would never be as brave as his dad or his grandfather. Rafiki then proceeded to tell him a story about a cub, a little lion who did not have even a drop of nobility in his blood. Thus we travel to the past, to a place where there was nothing but no water. We meet a family of lions in which the smallest is the good Mufasa. His parents tell him that he should not lose hope, since they will travel until they reach Malil, a kingdom that is water, food, grass, and sky until beyond the horizon. Mufasa is happy to know that they will travel to that place and proceeds to sing a song where he imagines how happy he will be in that place next to your dear family. Suddenly a Tor appears, and when a drop falls on Mufasa, he is happy because it is the first time he knows what rain is. So several animals next to him become happy because it seems that the drought is due to it ended. However, suddenly a river appears with a powerful flow that drags Mufasa. His father manages to save him and throws him to a safe place, but that helps matters little because an elephant that is being dragged hits the place where he was and makes Mufasa leave. Shot towards the river, they pass several hours, and we see that the poor feline animal was dragged to a distant place and could not find its parents for a long time. He navigated using a log because he did not know how to swim. Mom, Dad, where are they? At that moment, another little lion appeared and told him that he had to get out of there because they were about to eat him. From that expected, Mufasa gets out of there, and with the help of a little lion named Taka, he manages to get to Tierra Firme before the crocodiles eat him. Suddenly Taka's mother appears and scolds his son. Mufasa asks him if he managed to see his parents. However, this lioness named Esh tells him that she did not see anything. And at her son's insistence, she takes Mufasa with her pride. The king of this group, called Basi, tells to his wife that it is forbidden to bring strangers since they are disgusting vagabonds, and they must also preserve their royal blood, which is why they will eat him. But in his defense, he attacks, speaks, and tells him that he saved him. He also comments that Mufasa seems to be a good-natured lion who can get along with them. So to define what will happen to Mufasa, King Obasai tells him that if they defeat his son in a race, Prince Taka will leave him alive and they will accept him. That's right, yes. He starts the race, but the cowardly King Ovasi helps his little son by pushing Mufasa at the start. Still, Mufasa is very fast and continues with the race, but the problem is that he stops in the moments when he has contact with the water because he remembers what happened to his family. The competition continues, and we notice that Taka's good attitude helps Mufasa, and when they are near the end, he lets Mufasa win so that his friend can continue alive. Ovasi is upset with his son for losing and tells Mufasa that he will leave him alive, but that he will only be able to be with the happy females. The kids begin to celebrate because now Mufasa is one of them. Then we realize that Taka let himself win because in reality, he always wanted to have a brother just like Mufasa. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother like you. Then we notice that the lions are very happy as brothers. That's how it happened the years. And although they stopped from one place to another, King Ovasi always threw Mufasa around like a dog with the females and repeated over and over again to his son that sooner or later Mufasa would betray him. The one he considered a son to Mufasa taught him the skills that females had, such as the power of exploration. To achieve this, they only closed their eyes, they concentrated, and they could know what type of animal was approaching them at kilometers. Eshel commented that if he improved these skills, such perhaps King Ovasi would accept him into his clan. However, Mufasa told him that that will never happen because they are of different blood. Furthermore, That did not matter to him because he would not carry the weight of the crown. He could live his life in peace. Upon hearing that, those without responsibilities in the present Sumba are happy because Mufasa was one of them, which is why they sing the Hakuna song. Mufasa returns with a story. He taught Mufasa to hunt. However, two bigger and stronger white lions appeared and wanted to attack them. He told Mufasa to run. However, the brave Mufasa stayed to help his adoptive mother. Just at that moment, Taka was approaching to help his mother. However, when he collided with another fleeing animal, he began to be afraid and escaped from the scene like a little man. She and Mufasa were fighting for their lives, and thanks to their abilities, Mufasa managed to kill the strongest white lion, which forced his companion to flee the area. When King Ovas returns home and finds out what happened, he thanks Mufasa for saving his wife's life. But the unfortunate news is that Obesai realizes that the pride of white lions will soon arrive and seek to destroy them. On the other hand, the lion that came out alive goes to talk to the king of the white lions called Quiro and finds out that a lion that is not noble ended the life of his son. For this reason, he plans to seek revenge against the lions that killed his boy and also sends to kill the white lion that escaped alive, returning with Taka. He asks his father for forgiveness for not having helped his mother. Then King Ovasi tells him that he should never admit his mistakes to others since a king must use deception as a tool to protect the lineage. Suddenly, a scout appears and tells King Obesai that they will soon be attacked by a pride of white lions that double their numbers. Then, as the king understands that no one will leave alive to protect the lineage, he forces his son to escape and compels Mufasa to swear loyalty to his son and keep him up to date. Next, Mufasa talks to his adoptive mother and tells her he does not want to leave. However, she tells him that he must escape and find Malil, a place where he can be happy with his brother. Taka interrupts them and asks him to forgive his mother for having run away like a coward, to which she responds that he should not worry because the time will come when he will have to prove his courage, and then the little lions will escape. Some time passed, and the unfortunate King Quiro appeared. Although the scared King Obesai tried to negotiate with him, King Quiro was only looking for revenge for the death of his son, the prince. So he wanted to kill everyone, and also wanted the blood of another prince. The little lions had already escaped from the area. However, they realized that the white lions had already ended the lives of all their pride. Not happy with that, the white lions still wanted to end the lives of the two little lions and began a chase until the moment came when they were cornered and King Kiro realized that one of them was of royal blood. Mufasa wanted to fight and defend his brother. However, Taka decided to jump into Rio to escape. Luckily, they managed to survive, but even so, King Quiro swore that he would not stop until he finished. These two little lions, after leaving the waterfall, Mufasa perceives that someone is chasing them, and it turns out that it is a lioness named Sarabi who is following them because she was left alone since they attacked her pride. Since then, this lioness has been traveling with her feathered friend, and when the protagonists tell you that they would go to me and Lele, Sarabi thinks it is crazy because that place was only a legend, but her feathered bird advises her to join the protagonists on another side. We know a tribe of apes who decided to expel a baboon called Rafiki, who lived with them since their negative visions were often fulfilled, causing them to fear him, and with no other choice. Poor Rafiki says goodbye to his traitorous family and leaves there. While walking through the unexplored jungle, he meets Fasa Taki Sarabi, who did not dare to hunt him down. Upon seeing them, Rafiki tells them to leave him alone because he was heading towards Malil, a place where he had only seen in dreams, and upon hearing it, the protagonists ask him to take them with them, and the self-sufficient Rafiki agrees to take them. At night, we see that Mufasa cannot sleep because he has again nightmares with her family, so she talks to the stranger. Rafiki spoke to her in her dreams, and Rafiki advises her not to be afraid and to let herself be guided by her towards her destiny, where she would find a new family. At dawn, they meet a deep canyon, and when Rafiki asks Mufasa if they should go around it or walk below, the protagonist perceives that his mother advised him to go down, and since Sarabi does not believe his silly hunches, Mufasa asks him to concentrate, and she manages to perceive that their enemies were following them from the top of the jungle. So, he convinces everyone to walk down the canyon, and while they cross that extensive path, Taka confesses to Mufasa that he is very in love with Sarabi, asking him for love advice, and since Mufasa lived with the crops for so long, He tells him exactly everything he had to do and say to win her over. However, we see that Taka was useless in linking himself to the lioness because despite all this, he was unable to have a good connection with her. And suddenly the lions see that their enemies had reached there. So Mufasa had the idea of asking a herd of elephants that was passing by for help, but since it was not working, Sarabi risked his life by climbing up a mountain tree to launch a swarm of bees on the elephants, who go crazy with these insects and begin to run everywhere, knocking down everything in their path and making their enemies flee away from there. And in that, Mufasa sees that Sarabi falls from the tree, so he quickly runs towards her and saves her from being crushed by the herd of elephants. That's it, that's my child. And after the stamped Sarabi reacts, and when she asks who saved her, Mufasa lies to her, telling her that it had been Taka. After this, the lions continue on their way, and we see that Mufasa cannot sleep well because he always has nightmares, and suddenly Rafiki advises him to follow his heart at all times. Afterward, the protagonists walk through the snowy mountains and Mufasa tells him. He asks the bird to cover his tracks, and his plan works because the pride of white lions loses track of the protagonists, and when Sarabi finds out, she becomes very affectionate, praising Mufasa's cunning, and this makes Taka feel very jealous. And that night Sarabi reveals to Mufasa that after analyzing his great intelligence and sense of smell, he realized that he had saved her, and although the protagonist denies everything, Sarabi almost forces him to accept that he was much better than his brother Taka, who perhaps only appeared in his life to save him, but what no one knew was that Taka knew he heard it, and to make matters worse, he sees that Mufasa tries to resist Sarabi's charms, but in the end he sings a rich song where he recognizes that he was also attracted to her, and again, open your eyes, here I am, and this angers Attack, who feels betrayed and thinks that his dad had always been right because even though he saved Mufasa now, the very traitor wanted to take away his destiny and his lioness, and in the midst of his courage, Taka ends up falling in the snow, and suddenly the fierce group of white lions appears that want to hunt him, and since Taka only thinks about his revenge, he tells Quairo that he would guide him to Mufasa, so that he can take revenge on the real murderer of his son, and after joining this group of Taka lions, he ends up kneeling in front of his new king Quairo. How could you? Later Taka returns as Mufasa, and the unfortunate man flatters him, thanking him for guiding them to Malil, since a useless, talentless man like him would never have achieved something like that. And when they continue walking, we see that the Taka trader was leaving footprints for his new pack. How disgusting this is. Pig F. Finally, the plates arrive at Malil, which was the place that Mufasa always heard about when he was little, and in that paradise lived hundreds of animals of various species. When seeing them arrive, several animals are very worried because they know that the hunters are following Mufasa, and although he assures them that everything is fine, the unhappy white lions appear, saying not to hurt us. He asks the animals not to let themselves be defeated, and to fight together. The fearful animals do not want to do it, so Mufasa decides to fight to set an example, and at that moment Kiro reveals that he was able to find him because Taka betrayed him, leaving a trail so that they can reach him, and since Mufasa does not believe him, he asks his brother Taka to let them fight together, but he tells him that he was no longer his brother because he only came in his life to ruin it by taking away his destiny, and then Kiros pounces on Mufasa, determined to avenge his son's death, but happily, he ends up falling off a small mound, and Mufasa takes the opportunity to roar from above, asking them to join the battle because the hunters were never going to leave them alone, and convinces them by saying that they should fight united because each species had an attribute in its favor. Then the animals prepare to fight to defend their lands, and at that moment Kiros appears with his herd, telling Mufasa that if he did not defeat him, he would take over that kingdom. Each being has a place in the cycle of life. My breath is your breath, your fight is my fight. I will not bow down to evil, and neither will you. So the brave Mufasa fights against these unfortunate until he ends up falling into a cave, and when he sees an Attack he asks for help, but he is very unhappy. He decides to abandon him. Suddenly the white lion reappears to attack the weakened Mufasa. The little lion tries to fight bravely, and when Taka, who is nearby, sees that the white lion knocks him down to kill him, he remembers everything he experienced with his brother. Since he is sorry, he jumps to protect Mufasa, and then both begin to fight against Quairo. Meanwhile, the pride of white lionesses wants to attack a defenseless cub, causing animals of various species to unite. To confront them, Rafiki makes everything collapse around him, however, managing to defeat the unhappy herd. This causes the cave where Mufasa was to also collapse, causing the Prote and Kiros to fall into the water. Even though they are at home, the unhappy White Lion continues fighting against Mufasa, who uses the skills he learned from his adoptive mother to perceive that a gigantic rock was about to fall on them, so Mufasa throws Kiro against her, and that's how she manages to kill him. Wow, it's fabulous, no? Meanwhile, Taka sees that Mufasa is swimming towards the surface. Since he is about to drown, he decides to save him, but when Sereb appears and looks at him with distrust, he ends up leaving there. So both the lions caress each other, celebrating that the protagonist managed to survive, and then Mufasa sees that all the animals bow down in front of him because for them, he was the brave king of Malil who defeated Kiro, and although Mufasa, he doesn't want to be king because he doesn't have royal blood. Rafiki tells him that it doesn't matter, because now everyone recognizes his value in that. Mufasa hears a very familiar voice, and when he runs toward it, he finds his mother who has been waiting for several years for him. In Malil, because he never lost hope and knew that his brave son would get there, and although Mufasa was very happy, he becomes very sad when he finds out that his father had died, and then the repentant Taka appears asking for forgiveness from Mufasa for betraying him, and although the animals ask him to banish him, the protagonist tells them that during his reign his brother will not be banished. But since he cannot forgive him, he warns him that he will never pronounce his name again, and Taka tells him to call him from now on Scar because then no one will forget his betrayal. Upon hearing this incredible story, Mufasa's tender granddaughter regrets not knowing her brave grandfather. So Rafiki suggests that she look at the sky in search of the great kings of her ancestors, and she connects with Mufasa, who gives her the courage to roar from above exactly where her grandfather King Mufasa roared in front of his new kingdom. And at the end of the film we see how Simba returns to his home with his new son, who Kiara tells him that from now on she will take care of him and will tell him the story of a great king, King Mufasa.